Welcome in, fam. Should we be buying Gordon and loading up on Newcastle? Is it time to sell Alvarez or consider Mbeumo despite a blank in a few weeks? Here is my ultimate game week guide for game week 14. Let's get into it. So let's get started with Newcastle, and we all thought there would be goals in this Chelsea versus Newcastle match, but I'm not sure many of us seen a 4-1 drumming by Newcastle. The possession of this match doesn't tell the tale at all, with the Toon only having 54% possession to Chelsea's 46, but it was Newcastle's 14 chances to Chelsea's 7 where they really progressed. Of course, whilst there were 4 different goal scorers for Newcastle, it was Gordon that stole the show for FPL managers with his 1 goal and 1 assist. So should we be loading up on the English youngster now? He's made 12 league appearances for Newcastle this season and scored 5 goals and 5 assists in that time. He looks a great asset for his 5.9 price tag. He's an Eddie Howe favourite, and injuries in that squad reduces his rotation risk. But with a sea of great fixtures ahead in Everton, Fulham, Luton Forest in his next 6, it could be worth considering his home versus away form before jumping on him. A few people, including @TimbersFPL, pointed out on Twitter after the game that all of Gordon's returns have come from home this season, except for his 1 goal and 1 assist against Sheffield United in that 9-0 thrashing, meaning his output is better at home. Of the next fixtures, Gordon is at home 3 out of the 6 games before hitting Liverpool and City in January. That's half of his matches in the next 6 at home. Now, what do I think of this? I think these kind of stats are great until they really just aren't. The main thing is that Gordon is creating chances and is averaging 5.8 points per match. For his price tag, I don't think you can wave away his points just because he's playing away from home. I'll be seriously considering getting him in for game week 14, but you have to decide if this stat affects your thinking on him. It hasn't for a lot of managers already, as his price went up on Sunday evening. But what about Gordon's teammates? I know that Trippier didn't have a good game week in game week 13, but these next few fixtures for him could be absolutely golden. He's the top scoring defender in the game with 6 assists this season. You can see why, but this 7 million price tag does make it tough to squeeze him into your team. Now, I've had Lascelles for a few weeks since the Botman injury, and last week he wasn't a fun own, to be honest. However, if you're looking for a budget way into Newcastle, then Lascelles at 4.1 is just as nice as it comes. With the Botman injury, he should be nailed, and we're just going to have to hope that Newcastle do not get any more defensive injuries. Lastly, for Newcastle, I'd like to mention Isak. I know many of us are on Ollie Watkins and Haaland and maybe Alvarez at top, so it's tough to consider potentially selling Watkins as the second best forward with Bournemouth up next. However, Isak could be a replacement for Alvarez if you have him. More about Alvarez and whether to sell him in just a moment, but maybe in the next few game weeks you could consider a bit of a differential punt, and I think Isak could be that guy. Back from injury with a goal in game week 13, making that 7 goals for the season. Newcastle seemingly prolific at St James's Park at the moment, and with the Wilson injury, it means you could take a punt for a few weeks on Isaac, I believe. So, Nimfam, I was hoping you would help me out. If you're really enjoying the videos so far, then please leave a like and share and subscribe. We're so close to 7k. It would be amazing to get there before the end of the year with you gorgeous lot. Oh, and that sneaky little notification bell, then just give it a little tickle. It'll show you when I'm uploading my next FPL content. With the mention of Isak there, it has led me to touch upon if it's time for those of you that own Alvarez to sell him. Well, he is currently the 3rd best forward in the game with 68 points from 4 goals and 6 assists. Now, my understanding is that Alvarez wasn't going to start in the match against Liverpool. It's only the fact that Grealish had an illness that afforded Alvarez the start. Doesn't necessarily mean that Alvarez wasn't going to come on at any point, but it does mean that potentially Pep might rotate Alvarez in the next few games. It seems likely given that he seemed a bit tired during that pool match, didn't really look himself. Alvarez has Spurs, Villa, Luton and Palace before facing a blank if he starts in any of these fixtures. So I don't hate the idea of getting off of him for a little while at this point, especially if you don't have a wild card to help you out with that blank, because you'd potentially have Haaland, Alvarez and maybe even Mbeumo by that point. And that's 3 players on your bench with no backup if anything happens that week. But don't fear, if you love the guy, you could consider getting him back in game week 19 if he hasn't been rotated in the next few fixtures and looks good in the next 4. Talking of players to sell, maybe it's time to consider moving away from Matty Cash. He has now fallen behind his teammate Pau Torres for points and was hooked at half-time against Spurs. Is that because of injury? We'll need to know a little bit more. Maybe he has a knock, but also he was very, very close to getting a red card in that match. With tough fixtures creeping in now and the last attacking return coming in game week 7, if you get any news that Matty Cash is a doubt for Bournemouth, then I think you could look at selling him. I actually fancy the Cherries to score at home against Villa anyways, so all something to bear in mind if you have a free transfer or are depleted in defence already like myself. If you are looking for help with your FPL team, please check out the sponsors of this video, Fantasy Football Fix, where you can follow the world's best FPL managers' team reveals live. Link is in the description below. Stay tuned for early captaincy thoughts. That's coming up very, very shortly. But first, let's talk about Mbeumo. Oh gosh, I mean, I've always called him Mbeumo, so I feel like I should stick there, but I will get on that pronunciation for you guys. He is going to be one of the most likely top transfers for sure transferred in this week, and people have already jumped on Sunday evening with a price rise already happening. The 7 million man is on everyone's lips in the FPL community, mainly because of his next 4 fixtures of Luton, Brighton, Sheffield United and Villa. 2 of the next 4 fixtures are at home. I think many are mainly piling on for the Luton fixture. He loves a goal against lower teams and now has 6 goals and 3 assists for the season. A word of caution though, and I'm sure most of you guys know this already, Mbeumo does blank in game week 18, so be careful not to load up on too many blanking players, as most of you will already have, say, a Haaland, maybe even an Alvarez as we talked about earlier on. But Mbeumo also has really nice fixtures in Wolves, Palace and Forest out the other side of that blank, so he could be a good pick and maybe one player along with Haaland that you'd be happy to keep on your bench and then just have one sub that you'd be happy as a backup that week. Early captaincy thoughts for game week 14, and the top 3 candidates for me are Haaland, Salah and Saka. Haaland faces a Tottenham side that have just conceded 2 goals at home to Villa, and Haaland is at home where he just scored against Liverpool and could have had so much more, to be honest. However, Salah is at home to Fulham, of which he has scored 4 goals against in the 6 times he has played them. I felt Liverpool looked a little tired in last week's game. Lots of their players had been on international duty. Whilst they do have a midweek fixture, I expect them to be a little more on it next weekend with some back to normal training under their belt. It's going to be tough to decide between these 2, I think. But if you did fancy a bit of an outside punt, you could consider Bukayo Saka against Wolves at home. 3 of the 4 goals Saka has scored this season have come at home. He now has 4 goals and 7 assists for the season. Wolves can be a bit of a difficult team, but if I was looking outside of the main 2 captaincy shouts this week, that is where I would go. Thanks for watching, NimFam. Please do me a favour, as before, with popping me a like and sharing and joining the NimFam on the road to 10k. You're really helping me out. Look out for my transfer plans and team selection video coming really soon. Until next time, Nimfria out.